It's been since March since we've been on that floor and played a game, and I'm proud of some of our goals coming in the game that have been goals throughout the entire postseason last year to the summer and even in the preseason, taking better care of the basketball. And I think when you do that, you give yourself a chance to be more successful. I think 23 assists versus 8 turnovers, the unselfish part of our team. I think that part, especially when you have a freshman point guard who I know was going to be anxious, but I think it spread it throughout. And again, that part of can we execute better? Absolutely. But I think you saw a tightness in this team that we've seen the whole preseason on being able to get the best shot. We still have a lot of work to do, there's no question, but it's a great first step, a chance for Naya and Kara and Lizzie to get their first experience on the Kohl Center floor. But now we know we're in that mode that the regular season's here. But just proud of the challenges I presented the team at halftime. We were being out-rebounded in the first half and ended up plus 10. That part to me is something that's always going to be very controllable, even if we're not playing 2 post players at the same time. But I thought Marcia did a great job starting the third quarter of really, being able to run the floor, putting herself in positions to be successful. And I think that was a carryover from what Kendall was able to do in the first half of getting deep position. And Naya, somebody that I think she appreciates having an experienced point guard on the floor in Kendra Van Leeuwen, but you can see what she's able to do with the basketball and be able to put people in position to be successful. So I'm happy we got out on, we didn't have anybody injured, and now we'll get ready for Sunday's home opener.
Marcia, a year ago this time, I don't think you were cleared to play yet. Obviously, you look like you're in top form tonight. How much better do you feel, and how much more prepared are you going into a season now than your first 2 years here?
So yeah, past 2 years has been like rough starting the season, like due to like injuries and different things of that nature. But being able to rehab and strengthen my body over the summer and preseason really helped for the start of tonight.
So, Kendall, you mentioned earlier in the practice during the preseason how your goal was to be more consistent this year. How do you think that was reflected in tonight's game?
I definitely think it was reflected in tonight's game, and I think it's a lot due to my teammates. We push each other every day in practice to work on that, so it's easy when the games come.
Coach, just entering tonight's game, what's one thing that you really emphasized your team to work on or just improve on from practice and such?
Well, I think coming out of the close scrimmage from a week and a half ago is the consistency of how we are, especially if you're not able to score the basketball. It shouldn't dictate how you are on the other end of the floor. And that was something I thought we saw improvement tonight, that we were able to lock in at times. Obviously, we changed defenses a little bit in the second half. But I think that is something that night in and night out, we've got to be the best defensive team possible to put ourselves in a position. We understand we're not going to score 107 points every night. It's a matter of how our execution is on the offensive end. Are we getting great shots? Are we making sure that we get 3 people to rebound? But I think that part defensively, we're doing some new things this year to try to, I think, fit our team a little bit better with the graduation of Aviana Young and not having the services of Melena Johnson and Grace Mueller. We are playing a little different lineup. And can we be the best at that to force people to take as many contested shots, keep them off the free throw line, as well as not allow them to get baskets in the paint or transition. And I think the biggest thing for tonight is I thought we had a good consistency about us. Teams didn't, Platteville wasn't able to get on any kind of run.
I feel like we played really well. I mean, we worked really hard in the preseason, to prepare for this night, and I think we did a great job tonight.
Marcia, so you
Just having confidence in one another and trust, and knowing that my teammates were going to get me the ball, and just working hard both on the offensive glass and defensive glass.
7 for 7 from the line too, Marcia.
go.
Don't downgrade yourself right there.
And then Naya, obviously you only had 2 steals, but you deflected a lot of passes and like caused other teammates to get steals. Do you think that's something that we can kind of look forward from you for the rest of the season going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think we did a really good job in preseason as well and practices on working on help defense and things like that. So, yeah, I think that we'll keep that up throughout the season.
You know, whoever sort of got the defensive rebound sort of pushed it up the court, and you had, you know, even Naya rim running to the hoop. Is that sort of what the offensive complexion is going to look like this year?
Yeah, the Naya rim run is not ever a planned part of things. I think that was more of she saw that we had an advantage break and was able to get ahead of everybody. You know, we'd like to try to throw it ahead as much as possible. I challenge Naya and Kendra to try to get that first touch on things. But Kayla McMorris, Suzanne Gilreath, Courtney Fredrickson, they've got to be able to catch it. If they get a rebound, can they get a couple dribbles just to put that pressure, and then maybe they're throwing it ahead to our point guards. But you know, when you put Shelly Marble in that mix of somebody who's handled the ball as a point guard, again, to me, the biggest part is, are we getting the ball and getting the ball up the floor, putting the defense back on their heels, whether it ends up being more of a half-court possession or a transition possession. That leads to, again, our posts are running and being able to put ourselves in a position to attack. So, yeah, I don't imagine there's no set plan that has ever been a part of Naya Beverly getting a rim run. But I think what you saw was our post did a good job of getting rim runs to collapse the defense. That help opens up the perimeter, makes that throw ahead a little bit more open, and now teams are having to rush to close out, and that opens the post back up.
And Kendall, especially before Sunday's matchup.
I would definitely say just continue to crash the offensive and defensive boards. And we talked about definitely making contact, not just using our height or our quickness. So I think that's going to be a major key when we look forward into the rest of the season.
Unfortunately, we will not have the services of Grace Mueller on the floor this year. She has suffered a torn ACL and will be out for the season. And that unfortunately leads to my announcement about Melena Johnson has the exact same injury. That was suffered earlier in the spring, early summer. But that part of their roles just change. And I think you saw the excitement with our team, especially with Lexi Richardson and Lizzie Miller and Kara Crowley and their production late in the game. It just it's hate to see that part, especially for both Melena and Grace now missing 2 seasons apiece, but Grace hasn't been able to get on the floor. She'll do a great job like she did last year and help bring the best out in her teammates.